Hi everyone, again, Ms. McCalmon here, taking you through shading shapes, and you've made it to the cube. If this is your third video, this is your last one. Alright, so you're pretty familiar, that is my finished drawing, showing my light source, and the setup is as usual. You have your light box, your direct light source, and your shape. And I do want to say that if you don't want to do a sphere, a cone, and a cube, you could also choose to do the cylinder, or if you have another pretty simple shape object at home that you really want to do. We also gave you that cup, which is kind of a small cylinder, but we wanted to give you everything you would need for this class. So those shapes are pretty easy and right there for you, and they fit very nicely inside your light box, as you can see with my cube set up here. I did change my light source a little bit. It's a little bit more direct than maybe for the other shapes. All right, so very similar, starting out with my 2H just to get those light lines in. And the cube is kind of tricky because if you have any perspective background, that'll help you out. That's actually what we're going to be covering in class on Tuesday. But just draw what you see, try to keep the vertical lines parallel to each other. And just do your best. Now for this one, the styrofoam is kind of a tricky material, so at some points I couldn't tell if the light was shining through some areas of the cube, so if you squint your eyes a little bit, that can help you just see the value. That way you're not getting too confused with the texture of the styrofoam, and some of your cubes may not be exactly perfect cubes. I cut these down using the styrofoam cutter, which you may not even know is a thing, but you just heat up this wire really hot and you just slide the styrofoam through it and it melts it away, and that's how you cut styrofoam. Just a fun fact. But don't worry about that too much. It should be close to cube enough. That way on a cube, unlike other shapes, you're going to have some more distinct areas of value, and they're going to be on those flat planes of the cube. So you can see me building up my core shadow, my cast shadow, and that mid or transitional, and those are actually all, and the highlight, they're all on different planes of the cube. So you'll definitely notice that, depending on your light source. The position could be changed, but they'll probably be on their own individual plane. And once again, I am building this shape out of value. You don't see me making dark outlines of things, and that's really going to help you with your realism. If you turn in a cube that is very clearly just outlined, it's not going to look as realistic as if you just really pay attention to which values are where. And again, drawing in that dark section of to show the black paper of the light box is really going to help you kind of ground your drawing too, because then you can see everything in comparison to what it looks like right in front of you. And once again, just a final review, you want to identify your parts of light, your light source, highlight, middle, or transitional value, core shadow, reflected light, and cast shadow. And once again, it is not a requirement for you to write this on your drawing. I do want you to identify where your light source is coming from, so you can see my little lamp over there that says light source. You do want to pay attention to the direction of your light source. If that just means drawing an arrow showing that the light's coming from there, you could do that too. And you don't have to label all of this, but it is great practice. So I've got my highlight on that front plane, And there is my very important reflected light, my cast shadow, my core shadow, and then my middle or transitional values. So really, if you have all of these elements in roughly the right place in your drawing, you're probably going to end up with a pretty realistic drawing. So that is the end of shading shapes, finishing with the cube. If this is not the last video you watched, you might have some more to get through, but thank you for joining me to go over all of these shapes.